To me, Dak Prescott is the biggest steal for quarterbacks in the draft with quarterback one upside.
No way. No way, Nader.
Mm-hmm.
Dak, back-to-back years? Nah.
Easy.
What's up? What's up, man? We're back week 2 or episode 2, whatever you want to call it. This is Fantasy Spaces. This is Tipp Major. I'm alongside Nicho Rossler and Nader Saba. Man, we got a treat for you today, people. And we have a special guest, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you know what? We'll get to talk about Nader's little boom statement that he had right there. That was a little nuts. I don't know about that one. But we got a great show for you. We're going to talk about some dope stacks, some backfield breakdowns or battles, and then we're also going to have a special segment for you with a special guest you will not want to miss. Trust us on that. But we're going to also talk to you guys. We're going to remind you, please like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all the love and support that we've got from week 1 or episode 1. And we just want to continue success. So leave comments, give us a like, give us a post. We really, really, really would appreciate it. And from that, guys, we're going to go to the first part of the show, which is our news and notes.
We've had a lot of notes over the last week. I don't know if y'all been following, but let's dive into it. So first and foremost, Atlanta Falcons, Drake London gets the bag. 4 years, 141 mil, worth up to 150 mil, and 100 mil guaranteed. Thoughts?
I wouldn't have done it. I mean, like, he's going to have a great 4 weeks. Great 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks of the season, elite. After he hurts his hamstring, won't see him again.
Well, you can't go off the injury. I mean, you know, they think he's healthy. They deem him healthy. Nader. I don't think we got to look at it like that. I think what you got to look at it as they are giving him every opportunity now to be the alpha in this offense on the receiving end. We all know that Bijan Robinson is the alpha on this offense, but on the receiving end, this just tells you that they believe in Drake London. They've seen some good things from him. And I think, hey, he got a rewarded the bag. And I don't think that's a problem. Now, the question, Nicho, are you targeting him in your fantasy drafts?
Absolutely. I mean, Drake London's been someone that I've been super high on for the last couple of years. You know, he's a jump ball kind of guy. I mean, he's a touchdown merchant. He's super good in the red zone, great on those dig routes and those kind of intermediate 11 to 20 yard passes. And to be fair, that's kind of where Tua shines. And yes, I am assuming a little bit that Tua is going to be the guy. But, you know, you get him over the middle. Tua does have good accuracy. You know, his arm strength isn't elite by any means. I've always been a big Drake London guy. I actually am doing a best ball draft right now, and I drafted him, I believe, in the 3rd round, 3.1. I was the 12th spot, so I doubled up with Bowers and Drake London.
Wow. Okay. I mean, hey, yeah, you got it. Are there some more notes or news that you have?
Oh, yeah, we got plenty. Here's another wide receiver that got the bag. Christian Watson, 4 years, 110.5 mil, 31 mil guaranteed, though. So not as much guaranteed, a little bit more of a prove it contract for Christian Watson. What are your thoughts there, boys?
You know, I have to apologize a little bit. I actually mixed up Drake London and Christian Watson. Christian Watson's the one that I meant to say. Man. I know. Christian Watson was the guy I meant to say, oh, yeah, he's going to have a great 4 weeks till he hurts his hamstring. Now I feel bad for Drake London. He's not necessarily the one I'm talking about that gets hurt. I just don't like Drake London at all. But still, that's a discussion for a later time. But Christian Watson, I think he is the best. I think, like, when healthy and thriving, top 10 wide receiver in the league, and he's not number 10. He just has injury issues, scheme issues, and sometimes just he goes through a cold front, and he definitely is deserving of the bag that he's gotten, but it's just injury concerns for me that makes him very difficult to draft.
Yeah, I was looking into him a little bit. I mean, he was 4th in the NFL in yards per route run, 15th in fantasy points per game, 3rd in A dot, 2nd in fantasy points per target. Like, the secret sauce with him is 100% health. And based on where he's going in drafts, give me all that upside. I view him as a high end wide receiver too with upside, and that's not where he's currently going in drafts.
Yeah, for me, this was tough, man, because I was really, really high on Matthew Golden. Like in our previous spaces, when we were doing spaces before the pod, I was like, hey, like this is a guy in Matthew Golden that I think can become that number one option on the receiving end on this offense. I'm not so sure now, but Nader brings up a good point because he talks about the injury concerns. Look, they're still going to spread the ball around. Now, the good thing is they don't have as many receivers there to spread the wealth, but that's good for Christian Watson. That's good for Matthew Golden. It's good for Jaden Reed. But they all have had some injury concerns and injury issues. If they all stay healthy and all stay together, I don't know if I think Matthew Golden kind of got hurt here a little bit, man. I think, this one is going to be those situations where, they believe in what Christian Watson did, what he did last year at the end of the season, particularly. Like they rewarded him for that, and he showed he can stay healthy. Now we got to see what happens with. I'm coming down a little bit on Matthew Golden on this one.
Well, it's not like Christian Watson wasn't going to be there. You know what I mean? So, I think it can still be wheels up for both. In other news, someone who is not getting paid, Brandon Ayuk issued for a warrant for arrest for speeding. He was charged on a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speed, according to the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. Guys, this guy is just off the field issues.
Let Nader talk about his boy.
Yeah, Nader, you take the floor. This is your guy.
Hey, he ain't my boy. I just want to let that clear. And he, of course, he got his arrest warrant, not for anything that he's done recently, to be fair. It's when he posted that video, I want to say a handful of months back, of him speeding near Levi Stadium. And, it's just the legal process took its time in order for that to happen. It's not to say that he's a terrible person. It's just like in that moment, he broke the law and now there's an arrest warrant for him. Now, and he's still posting videos on social media about him, and how stupid the Niners are apparently and all that good stuff. So it's not like he's in jail or anything. I don't know. To me, his career is done. Interesting person. I think he's kind of desperate to try to gain some leverage from the 49ers that he doesn't have. And him kind of lashing out and acting out is him trying to regain some of the leverage in contract disputes.
Yeah, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Can we talk about Russell Wilson? Because this might be the last time we talk about him. Russell Wilson retired. LOL. Any thoughts? I don't think so.
Mr. Unlimited. No. Look, man. I think Russell Wilson out welcomed his time in the NFL. All his things that he's done. He's kooky. He's quirky. It's fun. We make fun of it. All in all, he's a great football player. He's a good man. It seems like you see the videos and pictures and things. He's really a family dude. I think the question is he going to become a Hall of Famer? I think eventually he will. They will reward him for getting that Super Bowl ring, although it was the Legion of Boom that got him that Super Bowl ring. But they will reward him for that. And, he's had some really good seasons. He had a MVP-esque season, but I think somebody came and got it from under him that year, maybe Tom Brady. But yeah, like it's one of those things where, look, dude, I kind of like the way he did it too. He didn't make this real big fuss. And then all of a sudden you see him on CBS doing all these corny photos and things, him with the mug. And I'm like, dude, all right, whatever. I got you. I get it. You're Russell Wilson. But I'm actually happy he's gone, man. I ain't got to see him on the field no more.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a player play himself out of the Hall of Fame. And maybe that's a hot take to say, but like, you see his peak and how high it was, and you're like, man, this guy's a future Hall of Famer. And then from leaving the Seahawks and over, I feel like also needs to be taken in consideration slightly of like, okay, is this a Hall of Fame caliber player? And it kind of hurts. I don't know. Like, I think no.
Yeah, I mean, I feel his career was tainted, from taking that contract with the Broncos and just kind of how things are ended. But at the end of the day, let's not forget about what he brought to fantasy football for all those years. He was, one of the first few quarterbacks that I feel like had a little bit of rushing upside to him. He had a lot of really good fantasy seasons, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I feel that he dominated the NFC North and the Vikings and the Packers in some of the biggest moments in the playoffs. But we'll have to fact check me on that. Roma Dunze says his foot injury is quote unquote the new normal, and that he's always in pain.
No, this is scary, guys. Like anytime you saying a new normal, this is something you're gonna have to get used to. And you're a receiver, and you run, you cut, and you jump, and you run, and you cut, and you jump. Like, no, I'm not. I'm out on Roma Dunze. I wasn't in on Roma Dunze to come into the season. I was last year. I'm not in on him anymore. Dynasty, beware, get away. Like, fade him. Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. Those are the guys that you want. I'm out.
I feel like he's just saying that just to say that. I feel like it's just like an off-season little thing he said just to like
just razzle dazzle.
Yeah, basically just to stay relevant. Odell Beckham said that once. He said that before week 1. He said, "Yeah, I don't even know how I'm going to play this year with my leg and how it's going." And then he all of a sudden he had like 1,400 yards. So it's like, with today's technology and medicine, no, like it's not a new normal for him that he has ankle issues after his first year of the season. It's not happening.
Tell you what we have to do. We have to do a little bit more digging, fellas. So what we need to do is, we got the quote, right? We got what he said. We need to actually see him saying it. And is he looking down? Is he dejected? Is he like Nader? Is he selling us wolf tickets? What is he doing in this case? So that's what we need to look at.
Yeah, definitely taking it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, it's not necessarily something you want to be hearing. But I think, guys, we've all been around fantasy football long enough to know that things that we hear in June don't always come to fruition in the fall. Speaking of the fall, George Kittle says he's ahead of schedule in his recovery from a torn Achilles and believes he's on track for week 1 after the Achilles injury that he suffered late last season. And I know we have a segment later today about grumpy old men, and Kittle is up there in age, and dealing with an Achilles injury is not something minor, but he's coming out and saying that he's going to be ready for week 1.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers also said when he had his Achilles injury that he's going to sit there and come back before the playoffs if the Jets were to make it that far. And turns out he wasn't even close. It's like, again, same with Roma Dunze. Sometimes they just say stuff to either gather clicks to get attention, or they're just in that moment, they really believe in themselves that much. Now, that being said, if his ADP continually stays really low, he's a phenomenal stash, because when he does come in, he's an immediate red zone threat, immediate yak type of player that you can plug and go, especially in the tight end position, where if you don't have an elite one, you're streaming. So for that, I'm always going to pay attention to a tight end.
Yeah, no, I think that's valid. I think, if you're looking at best ball formats, Kittle could be someone that you could take a chance on later in drafts, or, in any redrafts, you can, pick up a tight end earlier and then perhaps double dip with Kittle, play off that upside, might become good trade bait later based on how your tight end situation's going. The biggest thing for me is some of the recent Achilles injuries that have occurred have been, Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and then Daniel Jones last year, and now obviously Kittle. Kittle, out of those 4, is the only one that is going to be out there running routes. The other 3 sitting in the pocket, carving up defenses, doing what they do. That's where I have a little bit of hesitation, but depending on where he's going in drafts, definitely a high upside player that you can target later on. Jacoby Brissett is reporting.
Do we really have to talk about Jacoby Brissett?
We got to talk about the Cardinals. We got to talk about the Cardinals, because here's the thing. I saw the Pick Is In podcast pop down on our comments here, And I know there's some Arizona fans down there. And listen, this is big, though. Jacoby Brissett is reporting to mandatory minicamp despite the contract dispute that he currently has with the Cardinals. At the end of the day, this isn't even about Brissett. This is about the playmakers on that offense and Brissett being able to feed them. What are your thoughts?
I mean, look, Drew Petzing is gone. Enter Mike LaFleur. They've got two really good wide receivers. They've got a great tight end. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot again. Jacoby Brissett, all jokes aside, could become fantasy relevant again. I'm not buying into the hype of the rookie coming in there and stealing the show and all of this stuff and that. They're showing those slow motion dramatic passes that he's throwing. Like, get out of here with all that. Like, Jacoby Brissett should be the starter of this team. This team isn't going anywhere. So yeah, that's kind of where I feel.
So you kind of have to do the math on this one. If they have a relevant wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., who you're going to be drafting fairly early in your drafts, and they have an incredibly relevant tight end who's going to be drafted really early in drafts, whoever's throwing the ball has to be by math relevant in fantasy, right? Like, he can't have two relevant pass catchers in fantasy and the person who's throwing the ball not be relevant, right? Is my math in here?
Your math is math, and I have other thoughts around the Cardinals this year in general. Maybe we'll save that conversation for another day. Tune in.
Well, you know what? We'll have a segment where we're going to call it Catching Up with the Cardinals. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have a segment Catching Up with the Cardinals.
Is that
and
nap
we
time?
Are going to That's
nap time.
That's nap time.
Cardinals. Like, who?
That's
the
sleepy
baseball
time.
Team?
That's sleepy time. No, the Arizona Cardinals. Catching Up with the Cardinals. It'll be a 2-minute segment. It'll be a 2-minute segment because it's going to be quick.
I would argue 2 minutes is a long time. Okay. Like, in certain aspects, 2 minutes, that's like a marathon.
All right. All right, guys. So we're done with some news and notes. But Nader, you have a question for the audience. You want to ask the people.
All right, audience, people, I need you guys to type in the comment section down below. Are you for stacks or anti-stacks? Because, like, do you intentionally go for stacks in your fantasy draft? What kind of stacks are you going for? And has it ever won you the league? Because, boys, let me tell you, there is nobody more pro stack than me in fantasy football. I am the proponent of you gotta find a stack. A stack wins you the league. Now, tell me, guys, what you guys think down below in the comments. But Nico, what do you agree?
Stack attack is back, Jack. Listen, I feel depending on the format, the stack is a good play. Obviously best ball for sure, because you're playing for that upside. We talked a lot about best ball last week on our episode. So if you missed that one, go ahead and tune in on that. We're on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts, and you can catch us on YouTube there. We talked a lot about best ball. When it comes to redraft leagues, though, I like to stack quarterbacks and tight ends more than I like to stack quarterbacks and wide receivers. And one of my two dope stacks that I like is Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland. Now, this could be a bit of a pricey stack, but it also could be an extremely elite one. Ben Johnson's offenses are very tight end friendly. Loveland broke out in a massive way last year, especially towards the end of the season. He had 23 targets, 16 catches, and 185 yards and 2 touchdowns in the final 2 weeks of the season. And for anyone that tuned into our show last week, know that I love Caleb for his upside in best ball formats, and I think Loveland is the safest bet for production based on the competition at wide receiver between Luther and Adunze. Additionally, Caleb was ranked 5th in pass attempts, 7th in passing yards, 2nd in air yards, and 5th in money throws. While his efficiency lagged behind his production, I just fully expect year 2 with Ben Johnson to feed families.
And look, the Pick is In podcast just said that historic stacks for sure, only elite stacks nowadays. But Nader, I feel you. Yes, won my league with stacks over the decades. So that tells you right there he's won some leagues, and I think it is something that is important. But go ahead and tell us about your other stack, Nicho.
Yeah, definitely. This one might come at a little bit of a cheaper cost. And we keep talking about stacks, and for some reason I can't stop thinking about pancakes, but I don't know, maybe a story for another day. But anyways, my second stack attack is Brock Purdy and Mike Evans. To me, it works well because Purdy is highly efficient, averaging 7.6 yards per attempt. He was first in deep ball completion percentage last year with 62.9%, second in true completion percentage, which factors out, throwaways and dropped passes. So it's a good efficiency stat to really just showcase, a quarterback's completion percentage, like the true quarterback completion percentage. And the supporting cast is good. He was third in time to throw in the pocket and third in clean pocket completion percentage. All this to say, super solid O-line, time to throw in the pocket. And what does that mean? It means deep balls. And when you think of deep balls, Mike Evans is one of the people that should come top of mind. That's where he excels. He's a beast. He's 6'5", 231 pounds, massive red zone threat, and he scored 10 plus TDs multiple times in his career. This type of stack is awesome to me for both best ball and redrafts. And I have a hunch that Nader likes this stack attack because the other day he planted his flag on Mike Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that smile. He knows it.
I can't argue.
He can't wait to plant his flag on any San Francisco 49er player.
No.
Old ass George Kittle, old ass Christian McCaffrey.
Hey, and you know what? We're going to be talking about both of them later, but the problem is it's not even me talking about it. So you know what? I don't want to hear it. But now, unfortunately for these stacks, we had a rule. You can't use a premium or an elite combination, like no Mahomes Rice, no Burrow Chase, and all that stuff. So that took away a lot of the stacks that I wanted to discuss. But I will say an honorable mention or a rule of thumb, in my personal opinion, is that whoever your wide receiver one is, you should be targeting that quarterback because they're the wide receiver one for a reason. Like if you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're going for Jared Goff. Puka, Matthew Stafford. You go for whoever the Ravens guy is. I can't remember. He was Nico's flag plant, or no, sorry, I think it was Tipp's statement.
He's Flowers. Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers.
No. It's not that I love Zay. No, it's not that I love Zay Flowers. It's that I feel like Zay Flowers. No, and I'll stand behind it. Zay Flowers will have more points than AJ Brown for the second year in a row.
Not anymore.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you,
buddy. Anyway, that's what you should be personally doing, in my opinion, because, like, for example, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff. Jared Goff is an inexpensive draft piece. Yes, he's going to be relevant fantasy wise. So it's a cheap stack without much investment that has high upside. And if it doesn't work out, it's not like you're losing a lot in just cutting your waist with somebody like Jared Goff. Anyway, the person I'll be talking about here is Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert, because, like, who's Justin Herbert going to throw the ball to? He doesn't really have any bona fide, solid wide receiver ones that you're like, he's getting the target share. He's that dude. He's the number one. You don't know who it is. It's probably Ladd McConkey, in my personal opinion. As long as he's getting 25 to 30% of the target share, it is a solid stack, no matter how you want to frame it, unless they're only putting up like 5 fantasy points each, and it just so happens to fall under the 30%. That's just unlikely given the offense that they're going to be running over there in LA. Highly think that this is a incredibly high upside for the two stacks, and I don't think you're paying a premium for both of them. You're still able to get your elite RBs, you're still able to get your elite wide receivers, and then you could easily just slide in this stack. So even if you have to cut bait, you're not paying a premium, or you're not taking a huge loss in having to do so. Tipp, do you agree?
I agree with that. I think the other thing that I also like about Justin Herbert is the fact that they've got a better offensive line. They've got a better coach, offensive coach or coordinator, and Mike McDaniel. I think this first year is going to be really, really fun with this offense. We're not going to really, I think you're kind of right. We're not going to really know who that number one guy is, but I think once the dust settles and everything is done for the year. As long as Lab McConkey stays healthy, he'll be the guy who has the most yards and, most catches, most likely too. Not the most touchdown. I think he won't get the most touchdown, but he'll definitely have the most yards. And for stacks like this, those points, that's where, and I'll talk a little bit about it later, but that's where it comes into effect. You get those dink and dunk points, you get those points that accumulate, those catches that accumulate, and then boom, you get the touchdown from the quarterback, and that'll help out. Who's your number 2 guy?
How mad is Nader going to be when Keenan Allen gets re-signed out of left field in like August? Stack attack ain't going to be looking that dope anymore.
I have a little inside scoop on Keenan Allen, and he is going to play this year, possibly, but I don't think it's going to be for the Chargers. I'll be surprised if it's for them.
There's a team that always goes back to their ex. And Keenan Allen, he's just the X for the Chargers.
You can't kill him.
They love him. That's it.
It's too good. It's too good.
Yeah, that's it. Easy for him. I mean, Nico, do you agree with this day? You disagree?
It's funny. You said X, and my mind went to ex receiver, not an ex girlfriend. So it took me a second to process that. I don't know. It's just one of those situations. We've been thinking this for Keenan Allen for a minute, and it just is one of those inevitable things that could absolutely, in my opinion, kill Lad McConkey's value. And I feel that they brought Mike McDaniel in and improved their offensive line and brought in Mitchell from Baltimore. I feel that they're going to be trying to run the pill more than they did last year versus an air attack, but that's just my personal opinion. But you're right. If Keenan doesn't rejoin or get back with his ex, then Lad McConkey is obviously going to be a solid PPR format type of player.
I think that David Njoku was the piece that they
two needed. Tight end sets too, right. Yeah, with Njoku and Gadsden,
and that kind of probably shift gears away from Keenan Allen a little bit, I think. But yeah, but Nader, this number 2 stack though, this is interesting because I really, really think it's sneaky.
The problem is I can't say names to save my life, so I'm going to try to say it. Emeka Egbuka.
That's close enough, bro.
I feel like
Emeka Egbuka.
It's all right. Gronk can't say his name either.
Yeah, I couldn't say it as worse as him, but you know what? We're going to try him, and of course Baker Mayfield, because the first 7 weeks of the season, this was an MVP combo.
That's a nice one.
It was they were league winners, and you were paying 10th round a plus for both of them. So not only did you have your elite RB, you had your elite wide receivers. He was in your flex spot. He was putting up 30 in your flex, and you just put Baker there. Easy. That you won your weeks. Those first 7 weeks of the season, easiest weeks you've ever had in fantasy football. And because of that, you're always going to want to chase something like that because they had a historic fall off going into the year. Now, after week 7 to week 17, I don't know what happened. Defenses figured them out. Either they tried different scheme and it didn't work out. And by the time they shifted back to it, you know what? The season was basically over, even though they should have made it to the playoffs. They also generationally fumbled that as well. Different story for another time. But this stack right here, if they even continue with a hint of what they were in the first 7 weeks of the season, it will still be an incredibly solid stack. Now, take away their bona fide wide receiver 1, Mike Evans. He's gone. And even solidifies this all that much more. Highly recommend stacking these 2 players together because, again, it's not an incredibly expensive stack in a division that, in my opinion, still incredibly weak on the defensive side. But Nico, what do you think?
Buka to the moon. Listen, I'm super high on Buka. I do have my concerns with Baker from a fantasy standpoint. I do truthfully feel they were both injured last year. The whole Buccaneers offense was injured. If you go back to Evans, Bucky, Godwin was coming off that brutal ankle injury that he suffered a few years back. And obviously Buka had a lower body injury as well. Baker was dealing with probably everything from head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And listen, it was it showed its colors towards the latter part of last year. And you come into this year, I think both of them are really solid options. I do have a question for you guys, and I am curious on your thoughts, but I think I know the answer. Would you rather take a chance on Garrett Wilson or Emeka Egbuka?
Oh, easily Emeka. Easily. Garrett Wilson, we can discuss him a little bit later on. Specifically, he is just don't do it. Don't touch him. Move away from him. Let him be somebody else's problem.
Someone asked me this on Twitter the other day, so that's why I'm curious.
That is closer than just a definitive answer like that, Nader. I like both of them, but man, Garrett Wilson's just done it. The only thing that's really stopped him is getting hurt.
And his team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his team from a winning standpoint. But
it's funny because they're both ranked wide receiver, like back to back in rankings on.
I believe it. I would 100% believe they would be back to back.
Yeah, I don't know. Our boy G-Berg, fantasy football, asked me that on Twitter the other day. Shout out G-Berg. Go shoot him a follow. So thought I would bring it up to you guys. But anyways, regarding the Buka stack, I like it.
Yeah, it is a hell of a stack. I got a couple of stacks. They're maybe not as good as you guys' stacks, but I just don't want the people to forget. Cam Robinson and Wan'Dale Robinson. Cam Ward, excuse me, and Wan'Dale Robinson. Robinson and Robinson. They both have a situation on their hands where Cam Ward is going to have a way better season than he did last year, okay? He didn't have a bad season. He finished QB 25, which was ahead of players like Bryce Young. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. Like, he had a better year than Bryce Young, but, Bryce Young did go to the playoffs, so we always equate that, but it's not necessarily the case because the fantasy points will speak for themselves. And then one thing I'm also going to talk to you guys about, I think that Wan'Dale Robinson could push for wide receiver 12. He's averaged only 2.25 touchdowns his whole career, right? That's what he averages per season. He's not going to get a touch. I think he can get a few more in this offense. I think that they'll utilize him in the red zone properly. I think that he can get some plays off. He's one of those guys. He's sneaky when his route running. So before you know it, he's down the field and he's right out of the slot. And he's one of those twitchy type players, and he's fun to watch. So I like that combination of Cam Ward and Wan'Dale Robinson. For the second one, this one's I'm going even deeper. Not necessarily for the tight end play, because you're going to have to pay a little bit up for Harold Fannin Jr., but for Deshaun Watson. And I know that Shedeur Sanders made a hell of a pass this yesterday, I believe it was, to Denzel Boston. But I think this is going to be Deshaun Watson. Mary Kay Cabot, if you listen to what she said that he has been the outright leader all throughout OTAs, leading up to training camp. She wants him to make the decision so that way they can, move forward with the team. I think that they kind of secretly have already made the decision, Todd Monken and the offense. And I think it's going to be Deshaun Watson. And if you can get Deshaun Watson, who, will throw to the tight ends, doesn't necessarily love to, but will throw to the tight ends. Harold Fannin Jr. is one of those players, man, I think that can just ascend to another level. I think that he can finish, top 3. Last year he was top 7. I think he can finish top 3 tight ends after everything is said and done, should Deshaun Watson be that quarterback. And I think that'll be a nice little flex or stack that you could use in a super flex league. So that'll be. So I do have a question though. I want to. So
you were digging a little bit deep into that cookie jar.
That was deep, bro.
And
yeah,
listen,
because I don't want people to forget. I don't want people to forget. Because
I do. You know why? You know why? If I ever
don't forget about Cam Ward and Wan'Dale Robinson.
If I ever lose to somebody with Cam Ward and Wan'Dale Robinson on their roster, and I lose that week in fantasy, I promise you I will retire from fantasy football.
That's getting clipped.
Under no circumstances should you ever lose to somebody stacking Cam Ward and Wan'Dale
Cam
Robinson.
Ward will finish as a high-end QB2 this year. QB 14 to 16. He's in a QB2. Everybody's doing super
like 12
flex.
to 16.
Go ahead. Yeah, everybody's doing it. Yeah, go ahead and get Cam. You're going to be fine. You're going to be ecstatic with them. I'm telling you right now, Cam Ward, he has a chance. I'm not as high on him as I am at Chuck, but I'm telling you, Cam Ward, dude, he Last year he was QB 25. He's jumping up 10 spots this year, Nader, at least
10 spots, like QB 14.
Okay, so I know. Okay, all right. So we know you guys hate mine. So let's talk about your two. I really like I like the Emeka Ibuka.
No, you're not going to slide that easy. You're not getting off that easy.
Well, okay, okay, I'll give it to me. What you got? Let's go.
Deshaun Watson and Harold Fannin Jr. You're not getting off on that. And who's right mind drafting Deshaun Watson? He hasn't.
If you are in a 2 QB league and you draft Deshaun Watson as your third QB and he turns into your QB 2, you don't think that can happen?
You saw him play like 2 years ago, right before he tore his Achilles. You saw him play.
I don't care.
He couldn't throw the ball past 10 yards.
Man, look, I'm just telling you what they are saying in camp. What Mary Kay Cabot said. He is looking stronger than he's ever looked. He's throwing the ball farther than he's ever have, and he's looking good out there. So I'm going to go based off of what she's saying, and I'm going to go based because she's there, and I'm also going to go based off of some things that I've seen on the field as well. And Deshaun Watson is going to turn some. He's going to raise some eyebrows. He's going to raise your eyebrows too, Nader.
Maybe at the massage parlor.
Oh damn! See, then we have to go there.
I can't wait until this fall when Deshaun Watson's just cooking on red zone, like throwing it back to the Houston Texan days, and I'm just going to be sitting there thinking about how Nader just hates him.
Yep.
I don't say I hate him. I just don't agree with the like. You
listen. You're not paying a steep price though.
Right.
You're
not and guys, that's what we were. And for the people out there listening, especially for you guys, we were not looking for stacks. We've said no premium stacks. No Chase Burrow, no Patrick Mahomes, right? No Drake May, AJ Brown. Even though I think that's not going to be that great of a stack. None of that.
I think I might have cut it a little close then.
No.
That was a borderline elite stack. Like we couldn't talk about that.
It was borderline. It wasn't sleeper though.
Well, when I saw Caleb Williams, I was like, And then when you stacked him with Colston Loveland, I was like, it's okay. That did toe the line. You did toe the line on that.
I'll give you all another one that isn't as I don't want to say obvious, but they're just some of my favorite stacks that aren't, your Burrow Chase. Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Talk about it another day.
Okay, so let's see. Mr. Haywood Almanac, he says, when you watch the film, Sanders isn't very good. Correction, he's horrendous. I think Tipp's right. Question, can Nader or Tipp get a piece of Nico's changeup? Asking for a friend.
Hell no. Nico, hell no. Dude. I can't throw none of that junk ball stuff. I can't hit none of that junk ball stuff. It has to be straight at me, or it has to be a fastball. If it's
straight at you, it's hitting you in the face.
Guys, listen. Nico was a college pitcher. Go ahead and give everybody your background, Nico, real quick.
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to the Pick is In pod, by the way. I was a guest on their show a few weeks back. Make sure to shoot them a follow. We talked about it a little bit on that podcast. I played college baseball at the D2 level here in the Minneapolis area. And we talked about how I love to throw the changeup, and my idols growing up were a lot of Twins pitchers who had very good changeups. So that's probably where that comment's coming from.
What do you throw, a circle change or just
circle change?
Oh, that circle change
like
is
that?
nasty.
Right there,
yeah. That circle
got
change
a little.
is nasty.
I got a little stress ball here for you.
Yeah.
Oh, see, just that's like nasty. That. Ooh, I can already tell you, I'm a strikeout. All right, guys. So Nader, let's talk about our next segment. What you got?
Oh my God. Yeah. I know you wanted to get away from the Deshaun Watson take. I know you did. I know you.
We can go back and talk about it, but we got to move on with the show. We got plenty more time.
The show moves on.
Yeah, show does. Backfield battles, baby. 2 or maybe more NFL running backs, obviously, in a backfield that's clustered.
Maybe more.
Don't know where you're going. Need clarification. Who's getting it? Who should you draft? Nico, start it off with us. Give us a backfield.
So I'm going to go with the Steelers backfield, and I'm going to start with Jaylen Warren and newly signed Rico Dowdle. Goal line work. This may surprise some people, but Jaylen Warren was 13th in the NFL last year in red zone touches, and Rico was 24th. That being said, I'm not sitting here and saying like I'm buying it. I would project Rico to get a lot of the early down work as well as goal line work. He's a bigger back than Warren is. He has 6 pounds on him, 3 inches in height. You combine that with Warren being better known for having the receiving upside and kind of being that scat back. And Warren is probably the better, in my opinion, overall fantasy bet because of the receiving work that you're going to get with him and just the overall depth chart security and the rapport that he built with Aaron Rodgers last year. But if you're chasing cheap touchdowns, Rico Dowdle is the one I'd expect to have the better shot at the goal line. But if you recall last year, they did a lot of the tush push with their tight end. The tight end's escaping my name for some reason. So
not Freiermuth. Hayward.
Yeah, that sounds right. Like that. So with that being said, I feel that, I would prefer Warren over the two just because of that. All that to say, I truly believe that this backfield will be a true timeshare with Rico getting a series and then Warren getting a series compared to like Rico early down and goal line work and Warren in that hurry up offense and third down role. So at the end of the day, I'm not super crazy about either of these backfields or these two running backs in this backfield, but that's how I see that breakdown.
Shout out to D-Bro. He's in the building, everybody. Shout out to him. Guys, we thank you guys so much for being on the show. Please like, subscribe, comment. Keep the comments flowing. I'm going to tell you guys another thing, too. We got a really, really special segment, special guest for you guys coming up. So please just continue to tune in. But I like the Rico Dowdle. I like the Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren needed to have Kenneth Gainwell gone, and that's going to help him out. But let's talk about your next backfield breakdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna take us down to Arizona, Cardinal Nation. What'd you say?
Catching up with the Cardinals.
We're back.
Up with the Cardinals, man. 2-minute segment every week.
I'll talk through Jeremiah Love. I'll talk through Tyler Algier, newly signed, and the you could call him a grumpy old man. Which we'll get more into later, and James Conner. So it's really no secret, and I'm not shocking the world by saying Jeremiah Love is the back you want for the fantasy upside. Obviously they spent major draft capital on him, and recent depth charts have him listed at the top back in that room, which again should come to no surprise. You don't draft an RB with that draft capital and not give him that early down work and 20-20 type work. Goal line is where we get a little bit into the danger zone. Love can obviously score from anywhere. He has the breakaway talent, but if Arizona wants a heavier back near the stripe, Conner and Algier are phenomenal in that space and could easily steal cheap TDs. Connor's been that guy for the last couple of years. Algier's been that guy for the last couple of years when he was backing up Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. So at the end of the day, Conner and Algier overlap in play style, which is a massive blow to honestly everybody's fantasy upside. I definitely lean a lot of the passing work should be going to Love. He's the most dynamic and has the best chance to stay on the field in multiple situations. So to me, Jeremiah Love is the upside bet in Arizona. Conner and Algier are the exact kind of backs who can just be vultures, be annoying near the goal line. Love is a fantasy swing. Conner's a veteran trust play, and Algier is the cheap touchdown vulture. I could also see Conner getting traded at some point, considering the contract they just gave Algier and the draft capital that they spent on Love. But we'll see how that plays out through the summer. It's definitely a backfield that personally I'm staying away from in my drafts. But obviously you can take a look at Love in some of the, best ball drafts and, play with that upside a little bit.
Tape with the mic.
Unmute yourself.
There we go. All right. Rookie mistake. No, the whole thing about the Cardinals, that backfield, man, it's just in line with, it's not going to be a great offense. They're going to be passing the ball a lot. Yes, people can fall into the end zone, but it's most likely going to be Tyler Algier who gets the opportunity first. So that's just got me just all out on this whole situation with the Cardinals. Nader, what about you?
Oh man, this is nasty. Like Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. Like it's just such a nasty combination. First, like you're both bad.
And Nick Singleton.
Second, you're both on a bad team. Third, it's like rough. Like I don't know what to tell you on this one. Who's gonna get the goal line work?
Whoa.
God, I hope nobody. Passing work down, probably Tajay Spears, honestly. Like if I was to target a specific back, I'd probably go with Tajay Spears. He's probably the cheaper option, significantly better draft capital spent when it comes to your redraft league. But overall, again, this isn't like a backfield I want unless one of them gets injured, traded, cut, so on and so forth. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is going to be relevant. This is almost as bad as stacking Cam Ward and Wandale Robinson confidently. Like you just don't do that. It's terrible. The second backfield, I'm sorry, Nico. We're going to be talking about Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. And
let's talk about it. I actually have some thoughts about it.
yes, exactly. So you know what?
I want to hear what you think about Claiborne too.
I'm going to set you up, Nico, on this one because I'm looking at Aaron Jones. He's a grumpy old man. He think he's touching 32 now. But you know what? In my opinion, he's still the better runner out of the two. I would rather have Aaron Jones than Jordan Mason. It's just he's the more fluid runner, better pass catcher, better route runner. He finds the home run targets that Jordan Mason can't get. Jordan Mason, he's a great 5-10 yard type of back where he's just pushing the line, going through those first downs. But Aaron Jones, to me, if he has a healthy hamstring, unlikely, but if he does, then he's probably going to be the better back to own, in my personal opinion. But Nico, I'll let you finish this one off.
Yeah, I was really hoping we'd go into a little debate, but I'm right there with you. I actually believe that Aaron Jones is a awesome sleeper pick this year in fantasy drafts. You know, you look at running backs that are projected to be on, top half offenses. Let's just call the Vikings top half. They obviously have that ceiling. It's been that way with Kevin O'Connell, pretty much every year besides last year. And you're telling me that you can draft a running back on a top half offense at like RB 40 or like at the end of the day, there's just tremendous value with Aaron Jones. And I'm right there with you. I definitely lean him over Jordan Mason. He has the receiving upside, the experience. I mean, similar to Mike Evans, it's really just about that secret sauce of, is he going to stay healthy?
Mm-hmm. Precisely.
Yeah. And then you got the Claiborne kid as well. I like him. I think that he can add an element into there for that backfield. Have you been hearing anything about him, Nico?
Not a lot in camp from what I've been hearing. No.
Okay. I'm just intrigued. I think that he has some skill sets that could really help that team, especially in the passing game. But for myself, I'm going straight to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's one of those teams that, there's several backfields that at the beginning of or after the draft season or the NFL draft, I was looking at, and I was like, okay, who are some teams that I just got question marks, right? Tampa Bay is one of those. You got Bucky Irving, you got Kenneth Gainwell, you got Sean Tucker. Kenneth Gainwell and Bucky Irving, they do the same thing practically. Even the offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, he even said that. He said that they practically have the same skill sets. Bucky Irving, the injury situation, the situation where, is it mental now? Is even Todd Bowles coming out and saying the other day that, he'll be available in August or in the fall. And it's like all of this stuff, these cryptic things that are happening. Kenneth Gainwell leading his team last year in pass catches for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 73 catches. Like all of this is just, there's a lot of question marks. I think that the answer is Kenneth Gainwell right now, but don't be surprised. I mean, it's only at the beginning of June. Don't be surprised if Bucky Irving gets his things together, gets all back in shape, gets his confidence back. And then they start talking Bucky Irving because we know how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. So just keep tuned with this. And another one that I've just started to look at, I started looking at it just a few days ago, actually, was the New York Football Giants, the Cam Scatterbo and the Tyrone Tracy. I think a lot of people are forgetting about Tyrone Tracy, especially what he did at the end of last year. The last 4 games, he averaged over 17 points a game in those playoffs and in those championships weeks. So, the thing is, if Cam Scatterbo, who is projected to start week 1, he looks like he's going to play, looks like he's going to be there. But I will tell you this is John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh will run a committee approach. and then Matt Nagy will as well. So you're gonna have two running backs. They've already both said that, or John Harbaugh has said that there is going to be a role for Tyrone Tracy. I believe it. So I think that Tyrone Tracy being ignored in fantasy drafts, it should not happen. And I don't think he's being completely ignored, but I think that we need to start tuning in. If we think that this offense is going to be better, and we know that there's possibly not going to be any Malik Neighbors, so there's going to be pass targets who Tracy can catch the pass, so can Scatterboo, but he can catch passes. That's just another opportunity for him. So it's this New York Giants backfield that I'm also looking at. All right, guys. So look, we got our commercial break. We're going to go ahead and put it on.
Welcome back, and thank you to our sponsors over at Golden Watt. It is one heck of a drink. Nader, you've had a couple glasses, haven't you?
Maybe a little too many, but the first thing I do after a glass is pick up some car keys and go for a drive. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Well, it certainly is a golden time, and don't do what Nader just suggested, but just make sure you check them out. I know we've all had it, and it's truly an incredible drink. And we know football and most sports is a young man's game. That's when you can run the fastest, jump the highest, and have strength for days. Every year we have fantasy impact from older vets. Think of last year. We had Devontae Adams at 33 years young. He led the league in receiving touchdowns with 14 last year. So Nader and I are going to explore some grumpy old men. Okay, well, they might not be grumpy, but they're certainly older players in the NFL that we feel are still going to give you high-end fantasy value.
I mean, Nicho, you want me to start it off?
Well, how about you go for it and let's see what happens.
All right. So, you just talked about Devontae Adams with 14 touchdowns, but you know what? He's just a grumpy old man that's going to do it again, just to showcase that it wasn't a fluke. In a team with red zone opportunities, in a team that's going to be in the red zone a lot, you just have touchdown potential. Devontae Adams, I still see another 10 plus upside from him. I just like the offense that they're going at, the scheme that they run. And of course, I just like Devontae Adams way too much. His route running is just too crisp, too clean, too fresh for any type of defense to one-on-one guard him, specifically with that offense that they have. They just don't have the opportunity to bracket or double team him, making it so it's just an easy way for them to easily give him touchdown passes. But hey,
we have a guest. Yeah, he's ready. Should we bring him up?
Oh, let's do it.
Is this it here?
Is it here? Who do we have here?
Uncle Remus is here. I'm Tipp's uncle.
Oh God! Finally, a better guest.
Hold on, let me adjust my glasses. I am 109 years old. Okay, I can see you better now. Oh, who is it? Nicho? I see you, Nicho. How you doing, brother? And Nader. Oh, okay. Nader. All right, brother. Oh yeah. I'm 109 years old. I actually started fantasy football. It was not Bill Winkenbach back in 1962. I drafted the very first NFL draft. I drafted Bronco Nagurski in 1934. Don't you forget that. I drafted him and it took me to a championship. And we got to talk about some of these grumpy old men because I'm a grumpy old man. And all these grumpy old men are taking over the fantasy football league. Yeah, I said it. They doing it and they going to do it right.
Yeah, okay. You
hear about some grumpy old men or what?
I'll go first. I was just giving you some applause there.
Oh! Is that what I can't hear that good. I got too much hair in my ear.
Anyway, speaking of grumpy old men, so again,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Speaking of grumpy old men, I'll keep this short and sweet. Derrick Henry, what else can you say about him? But this is a guy that is clearly not slowing down. At 31 years old last season, he's 32 now. He's defying the old RB fall off, absolute monster. Second in rushing last year, fourth in total TDs, fourth in carries, third in red zone touches, third in explosive rating, second in breakaway runs. And that was all while facing the number one average defenders in the box and stacked fronts in the NFL. I mean, you want to talk about lack of production, you will not be finding it with this old man.
Something. I see that. You see that? Somebody's smoking something.
Give me what Nader's smoking. Hey, I got you. Don't worry.
Oh boy. Oh, I can use this. This simple machinery. Okay, I'm sorry, Nicho. Nicho.
Second, I'm not going to talk too much about him because we talked about him earlier in the show, is Mike Evans. The guy's obviously struggled with injuries, but as a projected fourth, fifth round pick, I could definitely take him at ADP in this new environment with San Francisco. The deep ball threat is there. The contested catch rate was there in 2024. Obviously just didn't play a ton last year, only 8 games. So buying him at dip, and I'm all in. I think he could be set up for this year's potential Davante Adams, where he's putting up 12 plus touchdowns.
You seem like the type person like to be all in. You like to be all in, huh?
All or nothing.
All in, Nicho.
You like all or nothing. And the last guy I want to talk about is Diggs.
Well, Uncle Remus likes you.
I can't with this right now. Listen, really quick, Stephon Diggs. Obviously, I may have a sweet spot for him, circa 2018 with the Minneapolis Miracle. But last season, although his opportunity wasn't there, which was evident by his 21.3% target share, 25.7% target rate, and 82% snap share, his efficiency was third in first downs per route run, seventh in yards per route run, fourth in true catch rate. So his efficiency metrics were off the chains, but his overall production and opportunity wasn't. I know he's not currently signed with anybody right now, but when you get him in an opportunity where he can thrive and play, I believe his efficiency will continue to show out and give you fantasy value.
I've been playing fantasy football for a long time, and you over here telling people to draft somebody who ain't even on a team? He's not on a team.
You got a point, Uncle Remus. I don't have a rebuttal there, but I think we've all. I think
Bronco Nagurski would roll her over in his grave right now. Hearing what you talking about that no. But go ahead, continue. This is your show.
We've all been here long enough in fantasy football to know that he's going to be signed by a team at some point.
Okay. I like that. All right, Nader. Give me your old grumpy man.
So let's see. I already talked about Sir Davante Adams a moment ago. So you know what? I'm going to leave him off the list. But hey, Travis Swift. Oh, sorry. Travis Kelce. Sorry. He's not going to take, he's not taking his wife's last name. My bad. I can't say that.
DeAndre Swift and Travis Kelce had a baby?
Close enough. He might as well at this point. But my boy, Travis Kelce, he is that grumpy old man, and he's heading into that territory. But you know what? With a wide receiver that has issues staying out of trouble, staying healthy, a questionable wide receiving core, it just leaves him to have way too many opportunities to be fantasy relevant. His ADP screams upside, making it so he just has a no-brainer type of draft place in your lineup and set and forget type of scenarios.
If your back hurt, you got to drink buttermilk.
What?
Somebody's back hurt.
I don't even know.
They say they back hurt. They got to drink buttermilk.
Man, I never thought I would say this, but I almost missed Tipp. I mean, my last one's going to be Matthew Stafford. You know what? I already talked about Davante Adams. I think Matthew Stafford is top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Top 3. And he deserves that type of respect, that he needs to be a bona fide set and forget type of player, especially if you drafted Puka or Davante Adams in your lineup. You must stack One of those with Matthew Stafford.
He's getting tired.
So a grumpy old man that's probably contemplating retirement, trying to get that final ring to solidify his Hall of Fame status.
Well, Matthew Stafford's old. Travis Kelce's old. Devontae Adams is old. I'm old. So the list is okay. It's okay. At least you got players that play on teams. But I like it. I like it. Uncle Remus, I got some for you too. Uncle Remus got some. I got some good ones for you. You all you got to do is just listen up. All right, you hear? All right, you hear me? All right.
All ears.
My first one is this guy. Uncle Remus for about 20 years every morning would get himself a mixed sandwich, butter mixed sandwich from McDonald's. Every morning I'll get a biscuit sandwich and a mixed sandwich. It's so good. And I like Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is an old fart. He's 30 years old, but I'll tell you what, the kid is amazing. He's fun to watch. He catches a bunch of passes. Last year, what did he have? Over 100 catches? Nicho, wasn't over 100 catches he had? Woo! I want a player like that on my fantasy team. I don't care that he had over 400 touches. That's the type of player he's going to get in space. That's what I want, Christian McCaffrey. And another, I told you I like my McDonald's sandwich, my Mac sandwiches in the morning. The other guy is Terry McLaurin. I like him too. Terry McLaurin is another player on the Washington Commanders. Well, I used to remember that team was called the Washington Redskins back in 1970. Oh, I was about 80. No, I was about 70 years old in 19. Yeah, the Washington Redskins. Doug Williams, he was a quarterback. He threw a lot of passes. But anyway, Terry McLaurin is going to catch a lot of passes from that young buck that they got over now. I can't remember his name. I think it's you young boys know Jaden Daniels with the pretty smile. Yeah, that little kid. I think he's going to be good. Terry McLaurin is good. And then I've got another one for you, Chris Godwin. I'm a God-fearing man, and Chris Godwin is God for me. He's good for me in fantasy. So I'm going with Chris Godwin this year. You talked about that Ibuka boy. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Chris Godwin because there's no more Mike Evans. Mike Evans is gone. So look, Chris Godwin, don't tell anybody, but Chris Godwin's another guy. And you know what? Hey, thank you, Uncle Remus. Appreciate that. And you know what, Uncle? I got it, Tip. I can close the show out. Don't you sit over there.
No, put Tip back on. I miss him. I never thought I would say this.
I got this. I can close this out because next week you got some really great teasers. You guys are going to talk about this or that, and you're going to talk about some other players that you really want to tune into. That I'm telling you, the this or that section, I think that's going to be a really good section for a lot of great debate. So get ready to talk about, you know what? I might come in there. I might listen. Uncle Remus might listen in and pop off a little bit. Yeah, I could pop off. I know what these kids talk about these days. I pop off too. And then look, also remember to leave a like and subscribe, a 5-star review. Because if you don't, I'm going to punch you in your lip. And then I'll tell you what, if you don't do that, if you go to your social platforms and social media, Bookface and Snapchat and InstaChat and Instagram, all of those, follow these guys because these guys work hard. They do a lot of work for you, and they do have a lot of fun on their shows. So I'm going to tell you right now, follow these guys and tune in to next week's show. Peace. We out.